So I've got to ask, gosh, was this a personal story? Where did this come from? Was this real life for you? I mean, where did this come from?
I usually write from real life, for better or worse. So this was inspired by a class that I took at Central Synagogue with my now husband. We got engaged and we had met in college, and we never really talked about religion or his Jewishness until we got engaged. Then we started talking about it, having all these heated discussions. Signed up for this class called Exploring. Was it called? That's what it is in the movie. I forget what the actual class was called. Maybe it's a very similar name. We worked with this great Rabbi Davis, and it was a very eclectic group of people in the class. So I started jotting down ideas for comedy sketches, and it sort of evolved into a story. So the germ of the story or whatever comes from real life, and then I used a lot of dramatic license to fill out the rest.
I've got to know, I feel like there's so much of truth in it, though. You're very specific with some of the things that are going on. How much feedback did you get from his family? I mean, how much... This feels like the most authentic look at this I've seen in a long time.
Thank you. That means a lot. I think, it's always hard when you're writing about family to know where the line crosses. But I do think, it's ultimately a work of fiction. Characters start as real life, from real life in your imagination, and then when you have amazing actors like Annelise, like Chip Zion, like John Cullum and Thomas and Hari, they bring themselves to their parts, and so it takes on a life of its own. So I think I try not to focus too much on that and just sort of let it do what it's going to do, because once you're making a film, you're bringing together a lot of creative minds, and it does morph into something else.
Before we dive into y'all's connection in the film, you're Rabbi, you just mentioned, by the way.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about casting the Rabbi? And that's their second time playing a Rabbi, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yes, Hari is an amazing actress. She was on a list of people that our casting director generated, and I thought, wow, if we could get her, we'd be really lucky. And we met up for coffee, and after she read the script, and she loved it and told me a little bit about her growing up experience with Judaism, and she brought a lot of personal insight to the role and was really excited about playing it. So she signed on board, and we went ahead, and she's wonderful in the film, and a really interesting person, and we're really delighted.
Annelise, I'd love for you to introduce your character's name, because I don't want to mistakenly say it. So if you'll introduce who you play in this film.
Glaucia Eduardo. You have to add the pause in between the name. Glaucia Eduardo is who I play. How
much fun was it to play this character? This character seems like the most enjoyable mean person I've seen in a long time.
Delicious. She's delicious. My first introduction to the role and to the story was just your good old audition. So I didn't have the whole script, I believe. I just had the character description, and it said, wellness guru, foreign wellness guru, dry sense of humor, and I said, that sounds amazing. I put in my tape, and then once I was offered the role is when I got to meet Jen, and I got to read the whole script, and I got to learn that, there's a secret at the ending that I wasn't aware of when first auditioning. So I was like, bonus, this sounds incredible. But I mean, everything was there for all of us actors, even though we were able to play so much with improv, which was so much fun, and so much of what was kept in the film, I think, is improv, right? Yeah. But it popped off the page, the words, and it was so much. I really wanted to, being that she was a wellness guru, influencer, if you will, so many influencers, I think, right now feel that they might have to either put on a facade or change who they are, maybe to protect themselves, or to become someone they think the audience wants them to be, or maybe they don't like who they really are, or whatever it may be. I wanted to bring that to her. That it wasn't she was just being mean just because, but it was so much fun. We had a lot of fun.
I'm amazed to hear it's improv. There are so many arcs that are completed and story elements that are brought together. How much improv is in this?
There was, I want to say with you and Billy, we let you guys run. I mean, there's not improv in terms of like the story.
Yeah.
We wrote out the story, but I did, when you cast great people, you want to let them fly. So there are a couple lines, like I think Hari improvised a little bit in the first scene in the office when she first meets Thomas and my character. And Annelise and Billy certainly had a lot of fun. I'd say, like, Billy came up with the caipirinhas, or what I said, come up with some ridiculous drink that you would have at your wedding. So it's bits and pieces. We didn't have that much time, so, we did in some scenes have to just stick to the script, but there were lots of places where I love when actors improv, so especially if you cast the right people, they're really funny. And
I was totally going to call you a really comedic, funny writer, but obviously I can't give you that now because you weren't right.
I didn't. I can't take credit for any of it, yeah. Or I can.
I'm curious, speaking about closing those stories, I obviously don't want you to tell us what happens to these characters. There's some open-endedness to it. There's some, not a potentiality, but maybe a continuation of certain characters' stories. Have you thought about that? Because I love certain characters. Of the Rabbi story telling who she meets could be wild.
So you mean a sequel?
Maybe. I didn't say it.
Never say never. Never say never. I'm trying to think about the ending. What happens in the end?
You have your son who comes out.
Right. I tried to leave it sort of like life goes on and, let people have room for interpretation. But, I have not thought about a sequel. Now my mind is spinning.
I'm glad. That's good. It's not post-pregnancy type stuff. It's different, but...
Could be.
How serendipitous is it to have gone through a pregnancy while making a film was that surreal at all?
Yes, the whole thing was a little surreal, and filming in my house partially, and my dog was in the film. So there was a certain moment where I was like, what am I doing? I think on the first day I went to my husband and said, like, I think everyone should go home and I should not make this movie. Because it did feel really close to home, literally and figuratively. And then I thought, you know what? I've gone this far. We've made it here through COVID. Let's keep going. And I think if you don't feel like you're taking a risk with what you're making, if you don't feel like you're exposing yourself in some way, then you're probably not saying something that's true. And I do really believe that. So I leapt, and the result is this film.
I was kind of blown away. I like the music in the film. Where did
Thank
you
you
get some of that musical choices? I think it adds there was a little bit of tension, but also a little bit of fun and fluid nature to the story arc itself. Can you share about the music?
Sure. I love music, and for me, that's always really hard when you have a limited budget, because I want to just spend a whole nother film budget on music. We have a great band who we found this song, or me and my music supervisor, Jennifer Smith, found this great band, The Greeting Committee, and that first song I love, and it's just nice to have a female voice to it, the opening of the film. Thomas McDonnell, who plays Levi, also has a band, and that was, I don't know if his songs they're in one cut of the film, but we used one of his songs in the trailer. So I sourced from all over the place, it's really fun to find music. We had a really good team of artists who helped me do that.
So speaking of women and being able to get accepted by Bentonville, knowing it's Gina's festival, but more than that, what she's trying to focus the festival to be on, strengthening women behind camera, in front of camera, diversity across all levels. How excited was it to be accepted here, and what does it mean to you as a female filmmaker, as an artist, as people in the art space, knowing that Gina's trying to champion that? Hopefully change will come from it, and we don't have to have these types of festivals. But right now, what does that mean to you guys?
Everything. I mean, she's a trailblazer. We're so honored to be here, and I was thrilled to be, to hear about this festival, to hear that it existed, and that someone, like Gina, with her prominent position, was really putting the spotlight on the fact that there are so few women in positions of power in the entertainment industry still, and the numbers are just hard to believe. The documentary, I think that she was interviewed in a bunch. I watched This Changes Everything, and it was both depressing and inspiring, and I was really moved by her dedication and her drive. She went to Google and was like, create an algorithm for me, and let's show these studio execs that what I'm saying, that there are so few female parts in animated movies and other movies that are instances where two actresses talk to each other about something other than men, the Bechdel test, she actually dove in and did the research and proved that she was right, that we were being left out. So, to have her and Alice Walton and this festival behind us feels incredible, and I'm eternally grateful. Did you want to say anything?
What you said. I mean, no, it's just, it's incredible. It's inspiring to see somebody like Gina have the courage to start this and to start these conversations that, a few years ago people were afraid to have, and now that they are at the forefront of the industry, and we still have so much more work to do, but for female filmmakers, BIPOC, LGBTQ+, there's so many stories that people they make, and they're wonderful films, but maybe don't have the platform to put them out there. So the fact that she's championing and putting these stories at the forefront it's incredible.
You're about to take this to, you shared with us, San Francisco Jewish Film Festival. How have Jewish reactions to this film, knowing that it's a non-Jew who gets us really, really well?
Well, yeah, I have the debate with my husband a lot of what does it mean to be Jewish and who gets to be Jewish? And I think there is, because in real life, my maternal grandfather was Jewish. His last name was Rosenbaum, and he changed it to Rand to fit in. And he was in advertising in the 60s and in the theater, and it just was easier to be Rand as opposed to Rosenbaum. So I do feel like I have a piece of it. And growing up in Manhattan, I've always identified with the cultural side of Judaism. But when you say that as a non-Jew to a lot of people, that sparks a little bit of controversy, and the whole idea of who gets to claim Jewishness and what does that even mean, since it is the only religion that is also an ethnicity. It makes it a very complicated. Sorry, what was your question?
I think you're answering it. It was just how Jewish reaction's been to it.
Yeah, I think it'll be mixed. I think some people might get a little upset at certain things, and that's good because I think it will spark some conversation. And I, as an artist, I think if you're not trying to, shake things up and ask questions, what are you doing? So I welcome that. I certainly didn't want to offend anyone, and I know that there are a lot of sensitive issues that are discussed in the film, so we tried to approach it from, a generous point of view. And I think Agnes, the character that I play, is just a very curious person and wants to learn, and that's sort of how I approached it.
And I love that Rabbi Cohen is the way she is, because I think it's needs to be seen. It's very helpful. So thank you for being bold. I'd like to ask, lastly, what is down the pipeline for you? You may not be able to say things. That's okay. But is there another project? Is there something you're working on? Acting? Anything?
Yeah. Annelise, you want to go first?
Oh, sure. What do I have going on? No, I've just been very blessed to be able to work during these past 2 years, which is when we filmed Simchas and a few other cool projects that I've done. I have something coming out during the holiday season that'll be joyful and cheerful, and it was really special to be a part of. So, yeah. I don't know, what can I say?
That sounds pretty good. I love a holiday film. What's it called?
I don't know if I can say the title, but it's a holiday rom-com.
Holiday rom-com with Annelise Cepero.
In a theater near you.
Yes. To be continued. Let's see, what am I doing? Promoting this. I have something else that I've been working on writing that's in the works. We're very excited to have a distribution deal for this film, which we can't say more about at this time, but we're excited to say that the movie will be released in the fall, and we will certainly keep you posted on where you can find it.
Congrats on motherhood and
Thank you.
All that entails.
Thank you. It's been a wild ride and wonderful, emotional, unlike anything.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for bringing the film here and for chatting with us. And as a member of the tribe, I laughed throughout this entire film, so thank you.
Thank you so much.